All right. You're recording, John?
Yep.
All I see is live. All right. All right, it's 7:05. We'll call our meeting to order. We'll start with any amendments to the agenda. Tor, have your hand up.
No, I didn't. I
No.
did not see that.
All right. So with no current amendments, we'll start with our minutes from August 31st. A motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second.
Second.
Rob, thank you. Discussion?
They look good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
didn't see anything jumped out at me. All right. If everybody's good, all in favor? Passes 5-0. Moving on to unfinished business 5.1. The special town meeting for the core zoning.
What about 4.1, the construction access to the Mills
Oh.
Road?
I'm sorry, I skipped over that, didn't I? Thank you, Wanda. Keep me
You
in
did.
line. Somebody's got to do it. Well, let's go there. Let's go to new business 4.1, construction access lease amendment from CMP about building their bridge on the bay.
So basically, in short, this was an extension of the existing lease that the board signed last winter, I think. This also had gone back. This actually came before the board, I think, late spring, because they had requested an extension. However, there were concerns, obviously, that the way it was written, that there could be some impact to the use of the salt and the sand and the ability for the plow trucks to get in and out. So anyway, we kicked it back to CMP and they've brought it back to altering that date. So that way, really the time that they're looking for the option to use the land is between July 1st and November 7th. So let's just hope they're in and out of there, which they're planned to be. But no, there was no intent. They should be in and out of there well in time for winter season 2021, 2022.
All right, Joel,
Is Seth okay with the date on the contract for
Yeah.
November 7th or whatever?
Yeah, he and I talked about this a while back. He didn't have an issue with the time because their intent was obviously they have to do the work in the summer. So really, it's a question of what part of the pile he's pulling from and making sure he's in and not in their way, I suppose. So it's really more of coordination, I think, as much as anything else.
Okay.
they're good with that beginning date of July 1. I think they want to go sooner, but
They can't go earlier than July 1, I think, largely due to whether or not the Eagles nest on the island or not. So I think they were waiting to see. They have to see what direction. A lot of people are moving to mid-coast Maine. We're hoping that the Eagles decide not to visit the island this coming year, and maybe they can find a different spot to enjoy.
anything else? Have a motion to accept?
Move to accept.
Move to-
All right, thank you, Tor and Joel. All right, no further discussion, all in favor? And actually, John, is this set up? Do we have to amend that?
What's that?
Oh, we could have just amended it so you can sign it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you guys authorized me to sign the last one. So, I don't know.
We can just amend that real quick to allow the town manager to sign the contract on behalf of the town.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
thank you, Joel and Thor. Here you go.
Thank you.
All right. One, it's John's fault I skipped over 4.1 because 3.1 he has written as 4.1. See, my eyes just caught 4.1 and moved to 5.1.
Yeah, he does have 4 ones there.
All right, so now we'll move on to the core zoning code for the special
John's
town
been in
meeting.
trouble all week, hasn't he, Brian?
He has. All week.
Glorified secretary. That's right.
Glorified secretary. We're gonna
You're
have to,
forgiven.
and he's not doing that very well either, is he, Wanda?
He's forgiven.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll take it anyway.
All right. So we want to do an update on the meeting. John, you were talking earlier today about time. So we want to
Yeah.
start.
Yeah. So today I had a chance to go out to Foster's Auction House Antiques, 811 US Route 1. There was some, I guess there was somewhere it was saying 822. It's 811. Although everyone who's probably on this call or whoever has ever driven Route 1 through Newcastle knows exactly where we're talking about. So I met with Bob today. Had a great chance to walk over the tent in the area where the special town meeting is due to occur, or assuming you approve the warrant here, is due to occur. We had walked over. It looks like there's a room for about 50 chairs under the tent. Plenty of parking, obviously, as you know. I was able today to. I should say today. I've been able to secure an FM transmitter, so we will be able to transmit the audio from the meeting to FM stations within. I think it's about almost 400 yard range. I'm not going to become a disc jockey in my spare time, but I do know how to apparently how to do this, which is great. But the nice part about this is will allow folks who are not comfortable with certainly all that's going on and being able to appropriately social distance, even though masks will be requested and the like. This is a situation where folks want to remain in their vehicles. They could. We've talked today. Michelle went out with me to the site, and actually, I think what I'm going to do. Bear with me just a second. I was going to try to. I'm going to try to show. Well, I guess it probably won't work, but anyway, visualize. I suppose as you drive in, Bob's the sign is to the right, as is the tent itself, and so what we're talking about. And visualized is basically a drive-in check-in. So for anyone who's been to a town meeting or even vote, you would walk up to the table and say, I'm John Smith and I live on whatever Hassan Avenue, and they'll check you off and give you your materials. Well, in this case, we're going to do it in the car. So you're going to drive up in your car and you're going to say, hi, I'm blah blah blah, so and so. You're going to get your kind of waving your tag, your card that shows that you're a voter. And we're also going to hand out a written ballot at the same time. We cannot specify on the warrant that we'd like to use the written ballot style, but we think given the complexities of where we are and how we're doing this, it really makes a lot of sense to have a written ballot used. So the next phase would be you would have one of two places to park. If you needed to use the FM transmitter and wish to remain in your car, we're going to have you park over by the tent, kind of facing the tent, kind of with your headlights facing in towards the tent. We may need those headlights at some point, depending upon what time it is. If you are not, requiring the use of that, we're going to ask you to kind of park further in the back, perhaps facing the road or at least further away. So there's plenty of room for everyone to park, and anyone who does need to sit in their car and to participate or at least to hear the ongoing conversation, they can do so close by to the tent. So from that point, we're going to have that set up. LCTV is going to broadcast, or they're going to record the meeting as well as the public hearing. Met with Larry Seidlinger today. They're going to have all the microphones and cameras ready to go. In addition, they have a PA system with LCTV, which we'll be utilizing for this event, which will be plugged into all their mics. So everything will be mic'd and included in. They also have a boom mic, which they'll use to capture individuals who wish to share. So it does a great job picking up the sound from someone, and they don't need to be right up next to the microphones. So the only microphones that probably would be in question are the ones for the board or anyone who you'd probably at the table of sorts, or the moderator. So there's going to be a spot for that. All those microphones will be tied into the PA system, which will then be tied in as well to LCTV's recording of the meeting, as well as the FM transmission, so that everyone in the cars can hear what's going on. So I think we've got I was very worried, and I still am, in terms of making sure all these logistics work, but I'm pretty optimistic that this is going to work very well. We've had a number of people who have called and are concerned about their ability to participate in this meeting. And so depending upon the votes tonight and given what I've heard today, I think we can say quite a bit about how we're going to provide as much as we can the opportunity for people to participate, to come and listen, to hear, and to vote if they, however, which way they choose. So effectively, we've worked out that aspect to it. In my conversations, well, let me back up. Had a chance, we talked with Bob about the use of the site. He quite clearly made it known that he felt that a 6 o'clock start might be too late. That the darkness and the sunset at that time being so late that it will really be quite dark in that tent. I know Joel has designs on a mirror ball going in the tent. He's talked about some lights, but I think if not for whatever we can do inside the tent for light, perhaps even for just setting up and getting people into a spot where they're sitting, it might make sense to have a lighter scenario than a darker scenario. So I would probably, Bob's urging was 5:30, and I understand that there's concern about having too early a time, but I also don't want a dark situation. So that was his urging. What you have before you tonight to vote on, it says, it suggests a 6:30 time, but I think, we'd also talked about 6 as well. So we can make that time whatever you need it to be tonight. So you would be setting the time tonight. You do have an opportunity a week from now or up to a week from now, to make a change to anything here. Time, place, anything. We can amend the warrant, but I think in terms of getting the word out to folks, it'd be important to set that goal tonight. So I think that's pretty much all of it. I didn't talk about the public hearing, but maybe we can talk about that a little bit later. But in terms of what's on the agenda here, just talking about the conduct of the meeting, that's where we stand.
I
John,
think
I got
last time we talked, we were talking 6 o'clock start.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
Do people need to get out of their cars to run over to the boom mic to share comment?
Yeah, that's a great point, Tor. Yeah, so to share, if you want to get out, you're going to have to get out of the car. You would have to stand in line. We would mark out 6-foot spacing. The boom mic he didn't give me an exact distance in terms of how far away the mic was from where someone would have to stand, but effectively you'd put like an X on the floor in terms of this is where your mark is, and it will pick up your voice. So unfortunately, while it does give plenty of spacing from the mic, anybody who's perhaps concerned about being around others and in the tent, there's really no way around that. What is nice about having the written ballot, though, that would take a motion on the floor of the town meeting to allow for a written ballot. It's very difficult to count the cards is part of the issue. So if we did not go to a written ballot, everyone would have to get out of their cars presumably and wave their placard that they have, and that might be not so bad at 5:30 or 6, but if it's 7, it's going to be quite dark. So I don't really want going into a glow in the dark situation. I mean, I think that's probably more than we're prepared for. So I think in terms of the ease of use to have a written ballot, Bob was willing to let us go inside to count ballots, so it's undercover, not necessarily away from anybody, but at least to have a situation. So if it was windy or raining or who knows what, we're not counting ballots and they're flying all over the place. So that just seems like a solid step forward.
Joel?
I had an idea on the boom mic situation. If we set up one of my I got two 10x10s right now, those pop-up tents. I could put one of those to the side, and so it would be outside the tent. Anyone who wanted to talk would have to go outside the tent, go into the 10x10 tent area, which would be away from everything. Boom mic could be set up there, so they'd be talking, everyone could hear them, but they wouldn't be in the group, because I think that's one of the things that we have to be careful of, is the more you talk, the more you project, the more that it raises the risk. So if we have that in a separate area, then it kind of takes care of that question. And then people who were in their cars could come out, and if you were talking and you were choking up on your mask or whatever, you could pull it down and speak, and you'd be completely separated. And it would I think that might be a way to do it, handle it. And then we could set up the line outside that. So.
Yep. Yeah. And speaking of that, I think that might be just fine. Yeah, Joel. The other concern is noise. So in addition to the dark, is obviously the road noise is significant. The edge of the tent's about 75 feet from the traveled way heading southbound. So we were down there at 1 o'clock today, and it's midday. There's a lot of traffic, and certainly there's a lot more probably than we would see at night. But unfortunately, at 5:30 or 6, there's still going to be significant traffic on the road. The only, he had said, Bob had said, well, you've tried different ways to try to cut down. It's really hard to do. Certainly having a PA system will help to at least project those who are using the microphones. The other thing is, I talked about perhaps having a few large vehicles for those involved. I was thinking, Joel, if you brought your van, or Ben had his van, and so forth, to have as much as we can to try to create kind of a barrier there, wall from the sound. It might be a good idea to at least try to find one way to box it in a little bit. But of course, we don't want to box it in too much, because we want to be able to have as much spacing as we can. So that's just one thing in terms of what we were thinking about, is trying to find some way to limit that.
Wanda?
Yeah, I guess I'm reading all the letter to the editors and stuff that's been going on, and I get it. I get the concern of a large group. I'm not even really comfortable in doing this, in the sense that I haven't been in a large group anywhere close to that. My husband and I were supposed to go to a memorial service up north last weekend, and all outside, same kind of thing. And we chose not to, because, I can't afford to take any chance to pick up anything. So, we have a lot of opposition going on here. Kind of, there's a motion, there's a wave growing of people, and I get it. I probably get it more than anybody on the board, because I live this every day. I've isolated myself every day for the last 6 months, from even a lot of my family, because of where I work and what I do, and the precious cargo that live in my building. So, I have concerns, and I'm nervous about, coming into this atmosphere. I get that it's something that we need to get done at some point, but I guess I just have to raise the point. Is this the right time? I mean, there's a lot of people saying no, and I get that side of the coin. I get it. I really do. I probably get it more than most people do. So.
Yeah, I understand that side too, Wanda. Dealing with that, working in nursing homes, the same thing. I get everybody's nervousness, but I think if we keep our separation, if we require masks, not recommend, but require, if they don't want to wear one, they can go sit in their car and listen to the radio. And just do some mandating, make sure we keep separation, because I think a lot of this will be either couples coming or individuals. And we just got to make sure we set the chairs, put 2 together and keep the rest 6 feet apart. The tent's not going to hold a lot of people, but there's also standing room. Hopefully it'll be a nice night, so we can do this. But we don't have anywhere big enough to go inside with. And if we did, most places were limited to 50 people. And I agree. I think we need to get this done. It's that or we throw it in a referendum in November. I think that's our 2 choices. Otherwise, if we're going to wait till COVID's over, we could be waiting another year. That's my only bit on it. So, Rob.
Yeah, I think, I think Wanda, I think you're right. You live this more closely than the rest of us, but I think we're all conscious of the balance of public safety and moving town business forward. I think, if it weren't for the fact that, it seems like there are a lot of people that are now interested in living in this part of the world, that we really want to have a good code in place. So I think that's the reason for not pushing it off. As Brian said, we don't know how long we'd be pushing it off. So I think having the FM transmitter that lets people stay in their cars is huge. I also thought of the idea that perhaps people could, if the people in a car have a written question, they could write a question out. We could have someone ready to take written questions if they have a question they want to ask, they could write it down. We could collect it and then get it read and answered, so they don't have to get out of their car. I totally get that. That there are people who are not comfortable. We can slip a piece of paper for the ballot in. They can get the window down a little bit. I think that's a way to keep everyone safe, and we can move the town business forward. But it's I understand that, and again, we're not living the experience that you have, but I think we're conscious of it, at least.
Joe.
I'd say with the FM transmitter ability, it really changes things, because you can actually just pull in, get your ballot, and at that point, this is why we've been doing all the education we've been doing. We're trying to inform people. We're trying to answer questions. It's all online. We're doing that first part of that meeting right now, where anyone who has a question, we're open to any avenue they want to get that question answered. If they want to meet with us at a pop-up outside, we do that. If they want to write us an email, we can field that, answer it, get the question back to them. If they want to write a letter, we can do that as well. So I think where we've been planning for this for so long, I think we've really set the wheels in motion. We've given a chance for everyone to to ask their questions, get their questions answered, so that the real, what we're actually doing is we're giving a presentation and we're voting on this code. And I would encourage anyone who can and is able to utilize the car situation. If you can be happy enough sitting in your car listening to the dialogue, knowing that you have options to get your questions answered and can protect even more people that way, I think it's a great thing to do. I think we should really, make sure that area is expanded so that we could have as few people in the tent as possible. And I think that's where this whole idea really works, is that we thought outside the box. We're making this as open to everyone as we possibly can. I think it's the right time. I know it's the right time. I mean, I'm dealing with you know, I'm dealing with people who have just bought houses. I'm dealing with people in with all these projects in 3 different towns right now. I have 3 different projects going that are stuck in planning board review and require meetings and meetings and meetings to get done. And there's a huge backlog of it. So getting this in place right now is really important for everyone in the trades, everyone who's planning a project right now. You know, for the betterment of the town. So I think with that, I think if we you know, present it in that way, I think we could make this really, really safe. So I think the diligence that you're talking about is super important. I think we need to keep up on that and keep that warning flag going, because without that, people are going to start to slip. But I think we can do this. So.
Or
I think the idea of being in the cars is, I think, key, you know, to add a level of security to some people. I think also key to the whole meeting is be disciplined and have a plan. So as long as we have a plan and we don't get, you know, we can monitor it and keep everybody on that plan that shows up. You know, I think I think it should work. There's been I've been involved with some other meetings or gatherings in town where there's been 50 people, and it's gone off okay. It's gone off well because of discipline, not getting sloppy. Everybody wears a mask, keep distance. So you really have to be militant about this, and offer people the feeling of security when they arrive there. Um, I guess I have one question about the public. If somebody wants to share something, they don't want to get out of the car. We have to have a method to recognize that they want to share a comment, and then figure out how to, if they're gonna write it down, then somebody has to be the reader for that question, something like that. So we need to plan that part of the process. So but I think in terms of the, moving the code forward, um, I think it does have to go now. I just heard, in the past week that it may be the end of 2021 before we're back to normal. So, it might not even be June next year when we can bring this to a regular town meeting. So, and I've taken the test with some of the people that I've questioned and interacted with, and I gave them the question, and I said, "This is the question. If you saw this in the ballot box, would you feel comfortable knowing what you're voting on?" And they said, "No, this is it's hard to understand." So I think you need the public interaction. You need a dialogue before the vote, so that anybody that's not clear exactly what the question is, there's a chance to explain it. So I think that's important too.
so as far as people in their vehicles letting us know, maybe we could flip on your hazards or something. I'd say headlights, but if it's cool and they've got their engines running, today's car, all the headlights will be on anyways. But maybe flip on your hazards. If you have a question, we can go over and get it, and then one of us can read it.
Mhm.
And Wanda, what do you think? Because we need to get everybody's information. They're going to check in anyways to vote, but we should also get their name, phone number, email address, in case we discover somebody that does have COVID that's there, so we can notify everybody. But do we want to set up a check-in station, Wanda, like we're doing in our facilities? Taking temps, answering the questions, signing the form?
You're going to be a long time trying to get that done and that many people. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a bad thing, but then, do you turn somebody away? I mean, yeah, I mean, you have to if they have a temp or something, but I mean, I will say, in our buildings, people are taking temps. At the hospital, they're not taking temps. They're just asking questions. So, I mean, I don't know.
Well,
And the
do we
question,
want-
asking the questions are only as good as the person is honestly answering them. So,
True.
if I really want to be there and I don't feel that good, but I really want to be there and hear what's going on, I'm not going to tell you the truth, I mean,
Yeah, I know.
and I struggle with this at work, when everybody is so worried about, well, somebody has to be there to ask those questions. Well, it's an honor system because it's only as honest as the person is giving you the answer. So I don't really know. I mean, it's going to add a whole different level to, and maybe we could put a big sign up that says, if you have any of these, please don't, please don't stay.
Right, or
I
stay
don't
in your
know.
car.
Or stay in your car.
Stay in your car, because I was thinking we could do it for maybe just people that want to sit in the tent. Versus I think a lot of people would rather sit in their car, so.
So
Sure.
I think I'm sure we'll, when we start talking, Brian leads the meeting. We'll have a chance to explain the ground rules. But I think when people arrive at the gate, to give them a a little brochure or a little piece of paper with the ground rules on it, just so they can refer to that too.
Yeah, we got to figure all that out now, though, so it's all done. And people need to know what the rules are before they come versus us. Because once they're in the tent, it's not going to matter. We need to be, whether we're going to screen people coming into the tent and how we're going to proceed for the parking lot, as long as they're getting that. When
Well,
they come in, then if you
I'm
have a
referring to-
question,
Right,
Go ahead.
I'm referring to when they pull in the parking lot at the gate and we get their name and their street address, give them a piece of paper, so they know the ground rules, as they get, because some people, they're just not going to know until they, what's going on until they pull up they'll know the address, they'll know it's at whatever time we designate, and they'll show up,
Right.
but that's all I know.
all right. Anything else on the meeting itself, guys?
I'd say, I think if we combine, when they get their card, their written ballot, and a brief explanation of, if you meet these criteria and want to get out of your car in the tent, you can do that. If you aren't clear of all these things, or you feel more comfortable, please stay in your car and you can participate that way. I think that would be a simple thing, to we already have to give them the card and the ballot. If we just give them that sheet, I think that would, I think the idea of masks and social distance we're assuming everyone could have it anyway. And that's why we're doing those things. So I think if just that, again, it's an honor system, but if they get that sheet when they come in, I think that will be effective.
All right. John, you good with all that? Mr. Glorified Secretary? Can't hear you. Can't hear you, John.
Oh,
You-
hold on.
There you
My
go.
whole thing. Can you hear me now? How about that?
Yes. Yep.
All right. So I think part of the problem that I see, I mean, it's not really a big problem, but part of the problem I see is just we need to keep it as simple as we humanly can. We have a lot of moving parts with this town meeting that we don't typically have. And I mean, there's things like traffic control and who's going to tell the cars where to park. And, we have an FM transmitter we're working in. And the inventive nature of this is great. And I think we can absolutely type up a little simple card, whatever. But I want you to just, the bare minimum here is we operate a special town meeting. We have a vote. There's a moderator. We passed a vote and we adjourn. So, we're trying to make it easy for everybody. We're trying to allow for folks to feel like they can contribute and be a part of it. And I think a big source of concern for a lot of folks is that a lot of the word hasn't gotten out about how this is going to work. I think that's been a big issue from what I've seen is, we've had a couple people who called today, this morning, and had really some incomplete information about how this was going to work. Not just the process and what's involved, but also the things that we're talking about. And also, frankly, some of it hadn't been worked out until today. But now we have a very clear picture for the next 2 weeks of when people call the office to answer those questions, how it's going to work, what it's going to be. And I think that will probably ease some minds. Also, Lincoln County News hasn't really covered a lot of these aspects to it. So this will be an opportunity. Hopefully, Evan, if you're listening, you can put some of this in the article this week, so folks can understand, some of the links, and so it will ease some minds. But that we are in the middle of a pandemic. Oh, by the way, so there's a lot of unease in everything we do. Going to the convenience store, going to the grocery store. I mean, these things are all fraught in some cases. So. I think that my message is, I guess, is that we try to keep it as simple as we can. Try to keep it focused on the rules that the state needs us to operate within. And as long as we do that, I think we'll be okay. But there's just operating a special town meeting in the world of COVID is just it's a hard thing to do, and so I hope folks appreciate how much effort is going into and thought is going into trying to make sure as many people as possible can participate, can affect the outcome, whether it's showing up to pop-up meetings outside on a picnic table outside the office, to under a pop-up tent, outside with the wind blowing, and who knows where all half of the maps went. I'm not asking, I'm just questioning. um but there's a lot of attempts that you guys, the five of you, have tried to make, and we're going to continue to make until the 29th, to try to do this as safely as we can. But it's hard. It's just a really hard thing to do. And so I don't, anyone who calls and questions, I don't question them at all, because it's everybody's making choices that are tough. Everyone is. So I just got a message from Ben, who offered some sort of 2-way call-in participation. He and I can look at that, and see if we can find a way so people in the car can phone in. There's just, and that's not, didn't drive me to think about the simplicity piece of it, but there's a lot of moving parts that I'm working on today just to make this thing go. And, and Michelle and Shelley and Harriet. So, we're doing it. I think we're on a good path to pull this thing off on the 29th, but it will be the most unique experience of my municipal governing experience, career. So that'll be one for the six of us to look back on, hopefully someday, and laugh.
Or
So John, thank you and Michelle and the office for pulling this together, because I know you've been working hard on it. So thanks. I think just back to that comment of this sort of little brochure or something like that, the sooner we can have something outlined and get it out into public view, the better people are going to feel about, we have a plan here. So I don't know if that's through Lincoln County News or, on the website, or all of the above. But, anybody that's questioning it or hears from their neighbor, you can point them somewhere that they can read it in black and white, at their own leisure time, what the plan is. I think they'll feel better about attending. So.
Can I just jump in, Brian? Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Tor. I think we can write something up. Now that I have met today and I know where we are, and I think their plans are good, I think we can write something up for everyone. One thing I would just say as a general comment that really has in part to do with this, but in part with everything that we're talking about. The website, there's a page on the website, just for anyone who, I'm not sure how many of the five of you regularly visit the website, but so the website has these there's at the top banner, there's one that says, core zoning code. You click on that, and you click on one of the links below that. There's a web page that has everything that we're talking about. It has the links to the text of the core zoning code, the roads and driveways ordinance, the question itself, the smaller ordinances that are pulled out of the existing land use ordinance, the Q&A responses that Tor and Rob have written up, a copy of the comprehensive plan. If for folks watching this, if you're curious, or if you know someone who's curious, send them to that page, because that page has everything someone needs to know about what has been going on, what's involved, all the text. And I think that's a great landing page and a great spot. So, I think that if someone says, "What's this all about?" I mean, maybe it needs to be a guided tour, but at least in terms of where can I find out about this, there is a one-stop shop that you can go, and everything is there. And I think one thing that makes sense to add is these are rules for these public meetings we have going on, whether it's the public hearing here on Thursday or the special town meeting the 29th. So I think that's a good idea, guys.
All right, the website's newcastlemaine.us. Newcastle, Maine is all spelt out in one word. So. Great. Anything else about the 29th meeting? We're
Do we have
good.
a time?
Well, we haven't set a time yet.
Okay.
5:36. I wouldn't go any later than 6 for start time. What I say sunset was like 6:23 or something. So
I worry though, if you get too early, people can't get out of work and get there because it is a work day. So if people work till 5 and they work anywhere out of town, it's not going to be easy for them to get there at 5:30. That's the only concern I have about doing it at 5:30. I'm not saying you can't, but it's not everybody works right in town.
right. No, I agree with you. Joel.
I'd say setting a 5:30 start time wouldn't be bad, only because I think it's going to take a little bit longer than to get everyone checked in and stuff like that. So I think if we set an earlier time, I mean, and maybe we just have to say it in a way, but I think getting people there as early as we can would be good, so that we can get people set up and
So you have to remember though, if we set a 5:30 start time, we've got to have staff out there, I don't know, 4:30, so people can start coming, because they got to come earlier. They can't all show up at 5 or 6 because they're starting at 6.
Right.
They got to be there earlier to help us, get through this process and getting them checked in and whatever we're doing for them to get into the tent, or get them parked and get their radios tuned to the right station. So it's going to take a little longer. So if we have a 6 o'clock start time, I'd love to see people start showing up by 5:30 at the latest.
Yeah, we could do that.
So we can start right at 6.
I think we just make that clear in our directions and our plan, that the intent is to start the meeting at 6, and we really encourage people to get there early to get everything set. I think that's probably a good balance, that people who can get there a little ahead, we ask them to do that. If people are getting off work and can't be there until just a little before 6, hopefully everyone else is settled so we can get those people in.
Yeah. So I'd say let's start at 6. I think a lot of people might sit in their cars and we'll have headlights. And Joel, you said you had some lighting that we could put inside the tent, right?
Yep.
Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So 6 o'clock start time. There you go, John. So I don't know if you guys got Ben's email he sent tonight with the core code in it. Besides adding the new map to it, he did have one section he added, one page. Section 29 underneath administration about life safety. Did you guys all get to see that? Read through it real quick.
I didn't.
If you want me to just brief everybody on that idea, we were struggling with a way to have some kind of oversight.
Hang on a minute, Tor, hang on a minute. John, can you hang on a minute? John, can you share that so everybody can see it?
Oh, sure. Yeah, hang on just a sec. I got to bring it up, but yep, I can do
Okay,
that.
watch. I can see what the change is.
Tor zoning code. What page? What page you want me to go to, Tor?
93.
Yeah.
Bear with me. Almost there. Oh, here's the yellow. There we go. Life safety. Let me zoom in so you guys can tell me when you can read it.
So if you, let me just, yeah, so that's the, that's the bulk. We have some pointers in other parts of the code that have been added. So maybe let's take a look at this right now, and then go back to where the pointers are. But so like I was saying, we had some language in the code for review, but not, it was not really giving the either fire chief or the life safety person, what did we call it here, life safety review, you know, any sort of authority in the project review. So this, what this sort of entails here is, you can see in part B, applicability. So this is basically everything but single unit residential projects. So everything up to 10,000 square feet, and then over 10,000 square feet would be large scale projects. So what this does basically is it offers the code enforcement officer to include the fire chief in the review process for these, for any project that's going to be up for application review. So and then what we did, so this gets pointed to, John, if you want to scroll back up to page, say 70, I think 76, sorry, 78.
78. Yeah.
78.
Here we go.
So small project plan. So this is where we point to this section of the code and say, code officer shall forward the permit application to life safety review. It happens in large scale plan, and then in subdivision too.
Master plan.
Subdivision on page 81.
Skip it.
Yeah, back up.
Sorry. There he is.
Yeah. So those were the edits from last week.
And then the map.
And last week we had, yeah.
What were you gonna say, Rob?
I was gonna say, last week we had some language that started to try to get that life safety issue, but I think Ben just appropriately, thought about it and realized that it really needed its own section in administration, just to clarify that the projects that it was, that it was needed for, that, basically, again, to clarify that for commercial projects, but not for single-use residential.
I think the only other change was the map, right? We updated the map.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think there's 2 more maps coming, just a zoom in of this one in a couple different locations, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, on page let's see, 8 and 9. Page 8 has a kind of blown up version of the downtown. Page 9 has a blown up version of Sheepskit. None of the parcels change in those areas. It's just merely consistency with the map maker. So I'll have a revision tomorrow, but so it will look in the same type of feel of the one you see on page 7, but none of the parcels are changing. It's just merely updating for the look and feel, basically. So.
And the legend needs to be updated. The SD highway needs to be changed.
That was done. So No, that was actually done.
Well, not on the insets though. So
Yeah, but we're getting rid of them. So
you got,
they'll,
okay. Yeah.
yeah, those were the ones that we had part of it, part of the old one. So we got them updated on the big map. So that legend will carry through on the other two, I think. Or so I hope.
Great.
So that's the final draft.
There you go. And it's up on the website already?
No,
No.
once you say it's good tonight, we'll put it up on the website, and we'll obviously update. We would update the. You'll have to approve the town meeting warrant here before we finish this agenda item, and then we'll put that up on the website as well. And you'll need to come in at some point here, probably over the next day or two, to sign the warrant, and then we'll post it.
Before we move on, so what do we have left for pop-ups that we're doing? Are we still doing Tuesdays, Thursdays? Wanda, you gonna do Wednesday?
I can't do Wednesday this week. I just can't. Sorry.
That's right. We're still planning Tuesday and Thursday tour,
So it's still on sort of a on-call basis. I think there might be somebody that's interested in meeting this week at some point, Tuesday or Thursday, I'm not sure. So if that comes to be, then I will be available at noon to 1 on Tuesday and Thursday. So.
or? All right.
But I do
Anything
need.
else?
Last week I got called at like 10 o'clock on Thursday morning and said, "Can you be here at noon?" And so I was able to scuttle over there, but it's kind of hard to get there on 2 hours notice. So anybody listening, try to do it the night before, if not early in the morning. So.
And I could do Saturday if I'm not sure how much demand we have, but I could do Saturday morning and as a drop in. I think it's worth offering that and being there if people do want to drop.
Yeah, there might be after the public hearing, there might be a wave of people that actually might have some details they want to talk about too. So keep that in mind.
So I'll plan on Saturday 10 to noon. I'll see if I can get Ram or Ben to join me. Or Kevin.
Right.
I don't know if Kevin's been available for any.
All right, so Tuesday and Thursday by appointment. Saturday, you'll be out there from 10 to noon. Best place to get the questions answered versus
Right.
trying to sit the public hearing or a town meeting. So,
And Brian, I'll check with Ellen. I know I can't do this Wednesday, but we might be able to do a week from Wednesday. That would be closer to the vote. So maybe we can do that, and that way we'd get it publicized. But I'll check with her tomorrow.
okay, sounds good. Yeah, if we have a little notice, so John can
Yeah.
get it advertised, and
Yeah.
be great. All right. So we're going to set the town meeting for September 29th at 6 p.m. Make that official. Have a motion for that.
So moved.
Move.
All right, Joel,
Second.
Rob, thank you. Any further discussion on the meeting itself? All right, all in favor? Passes 5-0. All right, then the warrant article. I think that's in the packet. Back up. I don't believe the question
It-
itself has changed at all.
It's pretty wordy.
It is pretty wordy.
I just put it up on the so everyone can see what it is. All the words
All
for the
word.
wordiness.
So we do have to change the time. It's legal.
Right. Yep.
Yes.
There.
Mhm.
Otherwise, anybody have any issues besides it being overly wordy and
And a lot of ends.
a lot of hands? Everybody good with it?
I think it's what it needs to be.
All right.
Move to accept the warrant.
Thank you, Tor. Do I have a second?
Second,
Rob? Thank you. All right, no further discussion. All in favor? Passes. Wanda, did you have your hand up? All right, thank you.
I did.
5. Yep, 5-0. It's hard to see it when it gets small on that side screen.
Sorry.
That's all right. It was more me than you. All right, so that takes care of town meeting. We want to discuss Thursday night at all? John, you want to run through what's happening Thursday and what time we're starting? And
So that one is starting at 6:30. So what we're doing in that case, it's at the fire station. Talk to Clayton. Clayton's going to pull the trucks out of the truck barn there, so they'll park out front. Hope is to have the doors open so we get all kinds of wind and everything. The firefighters are going to, I believe, they're meeting on Tuesday night. They're going to sweep out the floor. I said it looked pretty good. It looks cleaner than my garage, but that's they do a pretty good job with that sort of thing. So anyway, to clean that out on Thursday. Michelle and myself, and I think Ben, in his capacity as the planning board chairman, of course, we're gonna go around and we're gonna set up some chairs in there. Larry's gonna come by and start to set up all of his equipment for LCTV, the mics, the boom, all of that good stuff. And that's pretty much the size of it. There'll be room for the selectmen kind of and the planning board at the front of the room, and then kind of the chairs. My thought is really to have you all sitting on it depends upon where all the plugins and everything that Larry needs, but my guess is that you'll be kind of on the far wall away from the opposite wall from Clayton's office and the the kitchen and everything, and everyone else will kind of file in from the back from there. So that's kind of the plans of that so far. Again, same idea. People are concerned and trying to provide as many opportunities as we can about where people can stand to be able to participate with the mic and so forth. But that's kind of where we are right now.
we can do a type of sign-in so we can track who's there in case we have a case.
We can do that.
We probably
Yep.
should just get names, phone numbers. So.
Yep.
Wanda.
I just want everybody to know that I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to be able to be there Thursday night. I've got something going on that I have to take care of. So
That's right. This is the planning board's hearing, not ours. So.
I know, but but I just want everybody to know I won't be able to be there.
As long as you're in the 29th, that's when that counts. So.
I'll be there kicking and screaming, but I'll be there.
All right, so we're good for Thursday. I guess we can move on to the town warrant for $497,000, $497,868.53. It's the largest one we've had in quite a while.
All for the school.
All for the school. Joel.
So moved.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Wanda, thank you. Any questions?
a quick question. There's an entry for the state for BMV. I assume that's we show as revenue, things like registrations, and then this is where we pay those to the state?
Right. We pay their portion of those fees. Right. So we keep excise, we keep our agent fee, and there are other fees like plate fees and so forth that we have to send back to them. So you'll see those, periodically, and BMV, inland fisheries, and so forth. They like to have their cut of things as well. So,
Yes.
but we get to keep the vast majority of the excise, or we keep all the excise. But that's we can do a little bit of bookkeeping, given what we get to keep with the excise. Thank you.
So I have one question, which I've never seen on here that I can ever recall, is mowing. We're paying for mowing for Harriet Bird.
Yep. The field got whacked down in August at some point, and so we paid to have that taken care of.
Oh, the additional field, not the ball field. And
Right. The ball field is a putting green. It's amazing. But
Right.
the additional field was a little high, so get that cut back.
all right. Anybody have anything else? All right, all in favor? Passes 5-0. Anybody have anything else? We're going to call this night good at 8:05. Great. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Rob. All right. All in favor? All right. Good night, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.